So this is my front yard as it was in 2024. And my backyard as it was in 2024 as I started my project in the backyard using KD landscaping.
Okay, I don't know. I guess I wasn't recording. So this is day 2. As you can see, quite a bit of work has been done already. Though there still needs to be a little bit more done. From this tree, there's a few more limbs that probably should be taken down, although not many more. And then the big tree here, pretty much everything's been taken down that has, as far as like the main limbs, that will be used, although some of these other limbs that are still there, they'll also still be used. They just got to be taken down and then cut into roughly 6 to 8 feet long logs. And then the big trunk, of course, they're going to leave part of the trunk there, the stump. It's going to be roughly a little bit above the ground level by about 2 feet. So it's as far as the ground level that they're going to raise it to, which is the equivalent of what it's at the back. So the actual full size of the trunk will probably be about 4 feet high, maybe. And then that's going to be an architectural slash design element where it can be used as a table for when I have my barbecues and whatnot. And then the raised bed will be used with the logs going that way, and then flat that way, and then retaining wall at the back end here, leveling it, making sure there's a retaining wall so that we don't have an issue with the gate that's already there. We're basically going to be doing a secondary gate system slash retaining wall, so everything will be safe. We don't end up harming the gate. And that's going to be the second part of the job after the trees get done. That's going to be done this season. Everything's going to be leveled out, and the design elements as far as getting none of the plants will be done, but everything else will basically be done, possibly including having a pond, little fish pond slash toad pond, actually more like a toad pond than a fish, although I'm being told I probably should do some kind of fish. I haven't decided on that, but there'll be a little pond in this area that'll be made to look natural. At least that's my hope. It's going to depend on the cost of that part, because that could get expensive depending on it, and it's not something I necessarily actually have to have for my food forest. But everything else, it's going to be turned into a food forest. Everything in my yard will be edible. Outside of those couple trees that are still remaining, they're the only ones that aren't. Those 2 trees in the back, I'm not getting rid of them, because they're not taking up that much space, and they do offer a little bit of prettiness and some shade. I don't want to get it overly sunny in my yard, but I want to make sure I'm getting enough sun. But once the project is done for the first 2 parts, which will be, like I said, the trees and the actual layout of where the bedding and getting everything leveled is going to go, that will be it for this part of the project. Hopefully that will be done before the end of next month at the latest. And so people would know what company I'm using, because I want to give them a plug, it's KD Landscaping. They're located in Onondaga County in New York. And yeah, the project seems to be going really well. These are the woods that they've cut down already into 4-foot logs, as well as over here. And, well, over in the backyard of my neighbors also has some of the storage from the ones that they took down on that side. They'll be bringing those over. And yeah, the project seems to be going really well, and I'm happy with the workers. And I really can't wait for this project to get done. The part that they're gonna do for part 2 is, like I said, the leveling of the yard, putting in the wall for the raised beds, and the border slash retaining wall that's needed, and putting in all the soil and putting in the manure and that part, and putting in the deck, and possibly putting in a frog pond over here. Not a huge one. We're thinking something along the line of maybe about a 4 foot by 4 foot, although oblong shape, not necessarily like, so it looks more natural. Using a combination or just edible water plants, but might use some non-edible water plants as well. And then, but again, the planting isn't going to be done yet. Just getting everything laid out is going to be done. We're not going to fill the pond yet or anything. We're just going to have it all set up so that come spring, when my trees will come in, we can plant all the trees and the bushes and the herbs and the perennial vegetables, etc., etc., making the whole yard into a nice food forest that's not only great for food for humans, but is also going to be great for the natural environment, for the bees, the beneficial insects, the songbirds, etc., and hopefully, like I said, hopefully some amphibian friends. And yeah, I'm really excited about this project. I can't wait for it to get done. So again, this is day 2, and the company I'm using is KD Landscaping. And yeah, so when I do release these videos onto my YouTube channel, chances are it's going to be done as the first 3 days of the tree, first section of all the tree removal, and seeing what it looks like after all the tree removal is done, and then seeing what it looks like when the project actually gets started, as far as doing the leveling and putting in the borders and the walls and everything else before the planting. We'll show that. That might be 1 or 2 videos, and then of course come spring, when I get everything in, the planting of everything, and then I'll probably hopefully release a video at the end of the season, or maybe even a couple during the season, to show the progress that the growth is, because I'm hoping that we can get the proper nutrients so that I can get some fast growth for the first year or 2. And I'm hoping to actually start doing videos on a regular basis for the permaculture food forest idea in an urban environment, which I think would be really cool, because I really want to encourage people to do this, because it's not only environmentally friendly, it's friendly for your neighborhood, because once everything gets going, you're going to have so much produce that you yourself will not be able to eat it all. So you're going to want to be giving it to your neighbors, and possibly to the local food pantry or the school or whatever. So yeah, this is a great project for anyone that can do it, whether they have to hire someone to do it and they actually have the finances to do it, which again, sadly, the only reason why I do have that finances is because of my inheritance that I got from my father. But this is something I've always dreamed of doing, so when I finally got this, I've always dreamed of having a little bit of a mini farm of some sort that wouldn't be too hard for me to take care of because of my disabilities. And a food forest is, if you plant the right stuff, can be actually quite low maintenance, where yeah, you might have to go out almost every day to do something, but you're talking go outside and pick fruit, or maybe trim a couple branches. You're not talking sitting there for hours every week doing mowing of the lawn and doing stuff like that. This is stuff that you might actually enjoy doing. You know, picking berries is fun. Picking fruit is fun. The tree trimming might not be necessarily fun, but when it's young, when they're still young and they're the branches and everything else are still palatable, where you can move them in directions you want them to move them in without causing harm, it can still be kind of fun. I mean, I used to do that with the bushes that we had in our backyard when I was a kid. You know, I used to actually train them to go along the fence So I mean, that was fun. You know, intertwining, doing kind of a knitting thing. And I just can't wait. I'm excited about this project. It's a food forest. Gonna be relatively low maintenance, where hopefully my goal is if I have to hire someone to do some tree trimming and bush trimming every couple of years, that's fine. Outside of that, the rest of the maintenance I should be able to do as long as I don't get any worse health-wise. But yeah, I'm excited about all this project. So this is what the yard now looks like. Of course, I still got to put things back. That there is the back end of what's going to end up being my beds for my plants, my food forest plants. It's the back end of it, so that the erosion stays down safe. Looking up to the big trees that were in the backyard of my neighbors, where they trimmed a bunch of different parts. Again, it was KD Landscaping that did this, and they're located in Onondaga County, Syracuse. They trimmed a couple branches off of my trees as well, the ones I didn't want removed, but I wanted trimmed so that it would allow in more sun. And of course, the big tree. And that stump is staying. It's going to be used as a decorative element once the bedding for the raised bed that's going to be over there on that side. That raised bed there is going to hold more tree guilds. Should hold about 3 tree guilds in that one, 3 or 4 tree guilds there, 3 to 4 tree guilds on that side in the back. And then along this part here, it's going to hold about 5 to 7 tree guilds, which is going to be really, really cool. For those that don't know, a tree guild is basically you're growing it as a forest, the way that nature does, where you would have a tree, possibly tall trees, small, medium-sized trees, and small trees. I'm basically just going to be doing the semi-dwarfs and dwarf trees, so I am only going to have 1 tree in each tree guild. Typically, you could actually have 3 trees in 1 tree guild, because you would have a canopy tall tree, and then you'd have a standard size tree, and then you'd do a dwarf or semi-dwarf tree. And then you also do bushes and herbs and woodsies and I mean, you basically just work yourself all the way down to the ground layer, and they're grown relatively close together, where basically within every 6 to 10 feet, depending on how big you want to make the guilds and what size trees you're using, you could end up with like 3 to 5 trees. If you're doing within a 10 by 10 radius, you could literally end up with like 5 trees of the dwarf or semi-dwarf, 1 big tree, and a half dozen bushes, full-size bushes like blackberries, blueberries, etc., and then your woodsies and your smaller shrubs type, bushy type trees, not trees, bushies, and your shrubs, and then your ground cover and your perennial large flowers, the ones that grow up to like 2 feet high, and then your smaller stuff that grow only up to like a foot, and then your ground cover. I mean, you literally end up with like almost 100 plants within a 10 by 10 radius, and you're literally just growing it as nature does. And I'm going to be doing all that, all edibles. So on this side, they're going to have to move the wall that they built, because it's right now they have it set up where that's the back end, but they were supposed to put it in the front end. but that's going to be done when they come and do the actual layout, full-size layout, and bring in the manure and the tiny bit of leveling that they're going to be doing to just even it out a tiny bit so that I don't trip on myself, because like I said before, I'm disabled. So really excited about this project. They did a great job. As you can see, they cleaned it up for the most part pretty damn good. I mean, there's some sawdust, but that's fine. And there's some loose bricks, but they're going to be building my deck sometime in the next couple of weeks and setting up the layout for the yard. None of the planting is going to be done this year. We're going to wait to do the planting until spring, but I plan on doing another video on here after they finish doing the layout, and then come spring I'll show what it looks like before they do the planting, and then show what it looks like after they do the planting, and then show a summer video most likely, and then most likely a end of the season video to show what it looks like at the end of the season. But yeah, really excited about the project. And like I said, this was KD Landscaping from Syracuse, and they did a great job. And it's going to get noisy now, so I'm going to stop recording and enjoy.